Good morning, Alexander. Let's get started on chapter 3, all about leadership, life, and work balance.
That's my life balance wheel. That's kind of like, so, well, I use it a lot on my, throughout my coaching. So there are so many life balance wheels, period. They have people, it's like the pie, you have your pieces and people make it mean all different things. Coaches have been using for a long time. And often it's not very effectively, I noticed, because I have my own coaching too. And sometimes I'm like, wait a second, they're questioning. I think sometimes people use something. That's what I mean when we talked about earlier when you said a coach. Having a title of a coach, being trained in a field, does not make you a coach necessarily. Or
True.
For me, it's something like, there has to be an understanding of what you're doing. And sometimes we say, they're good teachers, bad teachers. But I don't want to make it good or bad. It's just different. And what works for me is kind of like, what I created here. It's a life balance wheel. And we have, here we go. This area here in our life makes 1/4. And that's the one which I focus personally the most on. It works for me the best. And that's all about relationships. The first one, it's intimate relationships. And intimate relationships is with the self and intimate partner. Because though with self is basically, how do I communicate? What is my thought process? That relationship I have to clear up. How do I empower myself? Affirmations, whatever. So becoming aware of my thoughts is becoming aware of who I am. And who I am is whatever follows. I am love. I am peace. That's kind of like the way I look at it. And you want to set something out and you live into it. Because there, everything rises in language. You created it. I'm powerful. I'm a problem solver. Intimate relationships, because intimate partner is always something, it gets us the most. If somebody says something so close to us, that kind of shakes us up. And it's important to know personality, their nature, because we can't fix anyone. For us to do something in any relationship, we only can through our own authenticity. First of all, being authentic. And we authentic and inauthentic at certain areas. Sometimes we believe we are authentic, but we are not. But I'm not talking about intentionally. I'm not talking about intentionally lying or pretending something, but often we pretend something which we are not, just because out of our need as human beings to belong, right? So It becomes important to know where we pretend something. But what I'm saying is here, it's very important for the authenticity, because the way you show up everywhere. Then, if you show up in a relationship there, you show up everywhere in the same way. So, and becoming aware of who you are and as authentic as possible, that only can touch, move, and inspire others. In order for you to create a team, you have to also empower them. So, and then goes to the next relationship. That is family, friends, community, and the environment. Out of that, pretty much, if we are aware of that and treat it, in a positive way, then success is almost guaranteed, no matter what. No matter what, because no matter, even if you failed so many times, there's your team. The people you touch, move, and inspire, because everyone wants to be belonging. And when they see you in a certain way, they follow you, they work with you, they support you, as you do the same. That relationship should be without any expectation. And you go through life and you will see how beautiful it becomes just alone in that area. And when I created the wheel, I always go in this direction, even though it has no, I always focus on relationships.
Okay.
And success is directly related for me. The level of success is the level of positive relationships you create. If you cannot have a positive relationship, at least, focus on having it neutral. Not a negative, not an active, dynamic, negative relationship. That just takes away from everything you created on one side, right?
Right.
So, but for life, and I would like to take that principle into high schools. I think that should be early on in high school where you actually start thinking about it, because it's number one is relationships. Then you go creating a vision, your lifestyle. Think about of what you want to create going forward. Remember that I for vision? That's kind of like planting a seed in someone's mind, in a school. Parents should do it, but parents nowadays, there's so many who work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet.
They do, yeah.
And so on. And that's why they use technology, like to give their children, so just to keep them quiet while they're still in their heads working. They bring their work home.
Yeah.
So they're so off balance, it's so unhealthy. You see it with the diseases created, more cancer forms and whatever, And for me, that is an energy you hold in, a negative energy, unprocessed, because everything is energy. So, but going back to, having a vision of a lifestyle, put on whatever you want. Okay. And that's for the vision. I want a large house. I want to be married. I want the trip. I want to go here, here, and here, and whatever it is, right? So list goes on.
Right.
I said, and make it as clear as possible. So when it comes to the house, all right, what is your ideal house? What are you looking for? 1,200 square feet, 5,000 square feet, whatever it is, put it on there. I want that Ferrari, and people are really going out. They're usually going out, but they're going out so far, and then they are not willing to do the work.
Right, yeah, they want to dream.
And the way to show them with the wheel, I can say, okay, now after you write everything down, there's a cost factor, right? So now put behind, so okay, the house in, let's see, you had chosen in Phoenix, Arizona would cost X amount. Right now, we're just going right now. And we put down like the trip to Venice, the trip to Paris, and you put it on,
Right.
And
you want to go first class, or you want to just scrape by, do budget.
And it adds up. This is the money you need, so to speak, right? In order to get that happen.
Yeah.
Now let's put that in your budget. Here goes your finance. So that is the fourth part in the pie, the finance. That's where the budget is. And the budget, first of all, you have to clearly establish what is the need and what is the want. Be clear about that, first of all. Really, that you have a clear understanding, especially when you have an intimate partner. It has to be communicated. Because some people say, oh yeah, we need that house. That's a need because, I need 7,000 square feet. I want to party,
Party's got to come first.
And remember, words are powerful.
Yeah.
You tell yourself that becomes your belief, that becomes your reality. So, but really establishing what it's a need, what's a want. And then there's no right or wrong. What I see to be thought about, when they say like, okay, I need at least $1 million income annually, for example, or whatever it is, 100,000, 50,000, doesn't matter. Coming from here, you will establish need and wants, right? And then when it comes to the income, because that will determine if the budget works, right? The forms of income, passive, active, whatever incomes, that's just the forms. You have to know the budget. And if somebody doesn't know, I go through it, of course. But knowing a budget, then it goes to, your work. Then it comes to business, career, right? Because the income comes always from business, career, our income potential, right? So, and that's a potential. Now, what kind of work do you see yourself doing? What is it you want to do? Because that will kind of like, let's say you want to become a doctor. Even a doctor has limitations based on his specialty,
Yes.
right? So it's kind of like, and you ask these questions as you go through. It's just, even if I talk to a child, it start thinking, all right, what do I have to look at? Because remember, often is when I talk to students at university, it's because they don't know what is missing. You have the, what you know what you don't know, but here it goes into, you don't know what you don't know.
Oh man, is that
until I ask the question.
Right. Right. You don't even know what to ask because you don't know.
Right. But someone might know. So in this case, I know I can help as I already went through life and hit the same barriers.
Right. Yes.
And so that becomes a tool for me to help others.
Right.
So, but when you clear up or you have a vision what it is, you can kind of like, then whatever that income potential is, you really see yourself doing, you compare, then go back to where's your budget then? So you have different options, because if the budget is off, then you can go into, all right, how do we create more? Investing in different things that would go beautifully. But usually, my experience, I've never seen that. There's always a missing.
Yeah.
So
Stuck.
when you go to the yes, and when you go to the missing, there's an opportunity. Either you cut something you planned for,
right,
you want, right, on your wants, or we actually start thinking to create something besides that. And how do I get there? So then you come here, but then you also have to think about, okay, let's see, you can cut or you create something besides that. So that I call it a growth mindset, right? You build a growth mindset. You have the choices always. You can do one or the other. And then it goes into, all right, in order to whatever I decided I wanted to become, to see where's my education. It's now we go into formal education and self-development, right? Because we can educate us in so many different ways. We know that. And often, but for a lot of it, formal education, as far as degree and so on, is necessary. Even though I think it's kind of ridiculous to degree,
so to speak. I like your pun.
Yeah, in certain areas, it just, there's certain things, but it's needed, but a degree would not give you. There has to be different ways of figuring out if the person is a match for the position than just looking at paperwork. There, I agree with you. If you put the mind to it, you always can make a difference there. You always can create a good life for yourself, And for that, I agree. To what level that everything is possible, that's where I'm saying, like,
It's up to you.
right. So, and you have self-development and so on, but here also you look, for each one, there's a cost factor as well, right?
Right.
And the cost factor, and then you also have, as you go here, you compare. All right, you have your skills, and those are the skills needed, for example, right?
Right.
It's the same, almost you line them up, what you have and what you need. And then it gives you an idea what it's missing, where you have to go and add on if it's not already in your plan, or align, because maybe you take the wrong classes, so you can cut 2 out and add 4 others there.
Right.
So,
Keep
but
looking at it, review.
And that all gives you clarity in the process, and you can do it anytime and even this is true, like later on for the person who is 55, finds himself in a dead hole. He's miserable in his position, in his job, or whatever he's doing, and wants to create something new. It's also like when you go through, and it's each and every time, doesn't matter, there's no age to it. I work with everyone like that. Could be an executive, because they might have so much money here that I'm like asking you, okay, what do you want to do? Who is that for? Where's your purpose? Tell me what you want to create, and
yeah,
I want to see the why, because those questions go to the why, right? So to this part is clear.
yes,
right? Everything so far is clear. Where people
yes.
struggle with is this one. It's the belief. That's the mindset.
Mm.
Because often you can figure that out easy. But then when you get to the point, the knowing, that's what I'm saying, the knowing and the doing, 2 different things. Often then comes, like, how many people have you met who have a degree, they're actually ready to go, and yet they still don't feel ready or competent enough to go?
All the time.
And they're stuck, right?
Yes.
So that's why my focus is on the belief system. What is your limiting belief? What tells you you're not ready?
Ooh.
What holds you back? So what are you resisting? Where is the fear of something? And fear is false evidence appearing real, but really there is no evidence. You can't find evidence really. So that's the question, where do you find evidence for that to be true? Well, mindset for me, it's really like finding, more of what really is.
Reality.
Yeah, in reality, even though there is no saying of what, each one has their own reality. Remember, we talked about that?
Yeah.
But in a way of creating some reality which is workable. Because we look for workability, what is workable, what is not. And then evaluating our risk factors. Just talking about the risk factors. Okay, what do you have to lose? What's the cost factor, for you to go forward? What is the risk? What do you have to lose? If it's too much, what else could be implemented? What it's missing? See, always going back, what it's missing if something is not working for us to take that step.
So what's the worst that can happen?
Right. You just said good or bad. When you said bad, I'm thinking of good or bad. That is just an opinion. You can also say, like,
It is.
the good, like, think about it. Oh, it's so good. I can sit here and relax. Yeah, there's also bad within it. If you sit too long, you get in a comfort zone. What it does for you, look at the cholesterol or whatever. and the bad, you can say, like, oh, it's so good. What I learned from it. Oh my goodness. Going forward, now I know something, is you eliminated something I don't want to do again.
Well, once again, there are 2 sides to every story. So you can look at the positive, you can look at the negative.
Right. So, and here's an important part, like, you also mentioned before, landmark, you can choose.
There you go.
You just choose. There's no, if you come from the past, the reasoning, you can go on, you can always find a reason. But there's no evidence to be found that the outcome you predict from your reasoning will be that, what you're afraid of, right? So
Right.
there's always the possibility. If you live in the realms of possibility, and that's when I work with people on their mindset, their belief system, where's it coming from? What can you create? How can you do something different than what you have experienced? What was missing then? All right, you can even go back and dig around. What was missing then? And what if we implement it and see? And now coming to the last one, that is health, and that's your mental and physical health, right? Because the mental and physical health is so important in order to do anything.
Oh, it is.
The way we are created in the physical world, so actually the physical being, has to be taken care of, as we have to take care of everything else. Because without it, nothing matters. Nothing matters. So, and that's kind of like, and even if you're like, I don't say, people put, and it goes into belief system, when you say, okay, I'm handicapped. In which way? I have a learning disability or whatever. Well, when you say it, you created it. What can we implement in order to overcome whatever you see as disability? Let's see, a blind person can hear better, maybe, or smell better, or whatever. It's always like a balancing within. Nature created always to balance out. And that's the beauty within it. You see sometimes a tree, the way it curves in a certain way, and that's because the roots have to grab in a different way so it adjusts on top.
I never thought of that. What a good point.
Now, actually, I learned that somebody, taught me why they are having certain shapes sometimes. It's because there might be big boulders, so the roots have to go, and it's just all in a balance. Nature's, fascinating if you think about it. A tree, for example, shows you how it goes against gravity. Because think about the water drops, it has to pull from the roots all the way up to the leaf on top. It grows against gravity, and everything is so well done and balanced, even with the roots going down towards the. So,
yeah, what a fascinating thought.
And that's kind of like, and then you see, we are equipped with. The tree is, unfortunately, is not equipped with what we are equipped with to become a co-creator. So everyone can create their game, something they have fun, like I showed earlier. You create something you want to do and just see what you can do. But you really have to think of something worthwhile, what gets you really going, gets you up in the morning. You want to jump on it and have fun with it. When you have a vision, only when you have a vision of something, then you want to find the clarity. And with the clarity, things become more possible. And then you have to always remember that whatever there is you want to create, going to lifestyle, well, you have a partner maybe, you don't create yourself. Then you also have maybe family, children later, whatever it is. Same way in business, entrepreneur. Always look for the lines in your relationships. Where do I get the money from? Well, there's other people who have interest if you create something, what adds value, and they see as such. It's all in the communication. How do we communicate it? Right? That's the enrollment. That's a true enrollment, how we enroll people, how we touch, move, and inspire them. And it only works when we do it with an honesty, authentically, you know? So it's all in the self-discovery and then how we take it to the next level. You know, instead looking just for the self, if we start looking for the community, you know, and everyone, you know, if you say you can only win if everyone wins, that's the best way of having a balance in the relationships. You're looking out for others. We are here to serve others.
Yes.
You know, and that's where truly we find fulfillment. But you know, where people get stuck in because of the image we created around money.
Ah.
It's the communication we have, the mindset we have about this. When we really say that money is a great, helpful, powerful tool, right?
Right.
But we treat it like if it's something like, and you don't even need to have it. You know, people forget about that is a creation of ours. We created currency. And currency, remember, that's just for currency, just the way the word, what it means. It's a flow.
Piece of movement.
It's a flow. The current is a flow. So it gets stagnated, you know, if it's not moving. So it means is you take it in and you want to move it fast out. And that's kind of like the process of growth. And that's the function of it. Otherwise, before we had to trade, you know, I had to hunt the
barter system.
Yeah, I hunt the deer in order to go take someone who has a cow. I give him some meat to eat, but he has the milk I want. And that goes back, you know, and that didn't work too well for us, especially the way we, you know, created our environment nowadays. You know, we made it easier for ourselves, but the ease then brought us out of balance, because then we looked just more for the ease and then made it a competition. No matter what I do, it virtually creates a wave impacting everything and everyone.
Who have some last words of wisdom that you would like to tell people, because I would like to see more small businesses in this world. And to me, what I see is a lot of fear, and I can't quite decide whether it's the dollar sign that is creating that fear, but maybe you can shed some light in your closing words.
Well, the only thing is really life is a game, having fun, being on a playing field, not pointing out to someone else who's playing the ball, you know, how to do it, you know, because you have to stand in a person's shoes. So instead, assuming is practicing yourself, positioning myself in a, you know, always looking from the self. How can I position myself to be of service, a better service to my team and others? You know, and that's kind of like whenever you do and you follow kind of like what we just talked about, you know, there's no way of telling how high you will climb, you know. And the good part is also, the good news is after you get some clarity, you know, and you go through all that junk, you know, on the bottom,
right,
on top, it gets easier. It gets easier as far as you can create, you know, and that's the beauty in it. Also keep track, journal always to what you already have accomplished. Think about, you know, if there's a fear of, you know, can I set out and accomplish that? Nobody knows. It's something for you to discover, but having fun while doing it. Because I look at it like, you know, think of a life. The way we see it is a beginning and an ending, right? It's the birth and there's the death. What do we do in between? What is my purpose? To live, to have experience. And if I think about, like, you know, I'm 60 and I'm like, you know, okay, I went 10 years here, 10 years there, 10 years there. That's kind of like a fulfillment, because it's fulfilled the need. Besides that, so many wants. And if you keep track of it and you see, like, you know, what you created from memories, if you have that idea And that becomes your belief system. So it just empowers me to do whatever, because then there's an infinite life. Not the way we know it.
Right.
And yet there's an infinite life, and you never know what is to come.
I like that, Alexander. That's
So,
an excellent verbiage way to close.
okay, thank you. And I appreciate you. I want to acknowledge you, like, you're a great leader and what you're doing for the community, with these interviews. I think that's great.
Oh, I loved all the information that you have shared with us. It's so valuable for people. And I hope that people go on and subscribe and listen to all 3 of the interviews that you've done with me. I'm just really excited. If you've got comments to make, we'd love to get them. Make sure you like and subscribe. Thank you very much, Alexander.
Thank you too. And Merry Christmas is coming up soon before we know it.
It is.
The Hanukkah or whatever there is, the Swanzer, whatever people
Yeah.
celebrate. Celebrate every day. That's my way of doing. Like every day,
I
be grateful
agree.
for what you have, and the gift for me in general is just the love I have for the people and want to see them thrive.
And how much you've given back. I love your wheel with the vision and the balance of life and business. It's a whole different concept and a different way to look at life than I've ever seen. So I really appreciate what you've shared with us.
Good. I'm glad you got something out of it.
I got a
Love
ton
it.
of stuff out of it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.